When I'm teaching gardeners, I come across a lot of confusion about what is the best way to do things. And it's made me wonder, where do our beliefs come from? What are they based on? And having looked into it quite a bit, I think that there's a lot of lazy assumptions and blinkered visions which are filtered down and been handed to us by people who are supposed to know better, professional gardeners maybe 200 years ago. And once a gardening saying is anchored in law, well, it becomes law. And to give you an example of how that works, I'm holding this lovely long parsnip. This parsnip I grew by breaking two of the rules which are commonly presented about how you should grow or not grow parsnips and carrots in this case. The first one is that almost every book and article you read about how to grow parsnips and carrots will say that you should not spread compost before you sow them because it makes them fork. Now, I think this must be because there's an assumption there that this compost is being dug in, incorporated, simply because that's the most common way of going about things. Most people do that. I actually don't. I spread compost on the surface as a mulch. Compost, by the way, could be well-rotted animal manure. In fact, this compost, the mulch was well-rotted cow manure and some mushroom compost spread a year ago on the surface, and then the soil was not dug or disturbed in any way, and look how it's grown. Fantastic. In this bed last March, I sowed one row of parsnip seeds, and the row is 1.5 meters, that's 5 feet. And in the last 2 weeks, we've harvested all the parsnips that were in this one row. And what we have here is parsnips from one half of the row. The previous half was before. And the total harvest from this 1.5 meter, 5 foot row is 12 kilos of parsnips. You know, that's a huge amount of food. Now, it's often said that parsnips are light feeders, so you don't give them compost and, well, just take what grows. But actually, if you give them compost, it's not so much about feeding the parsnip themselves, it's feeding the soil they're growing in. The compost does that to perfection. It's not like a flush feed of artificial fertilizers. So the mythology around this whole thing about should one feed certain plants or not other plants is actually more about how you understand feeding, and that it's not about giving nutrients to plants or feeding plants, it's about feeding soil. And when soil is well fed, that's really good actually for all vegetables in my experience. So it simplifies things again. You can spread compost everywhere on all your vegetable growing beds in the autumn, for example, because compost holds nutrients that don't leach out with rain. Like I did here, the compost was spread last autumn. If the nutrients in that compost leached out, these parsnips would not be like that. So understanding what is myth, what is not, getting to the heart of the matter, really seeing how plants grow, using your observation and believing what you see as well. Don't believe necessarily what someone else tells you. They've got their own agenda. You can work it out. Develop a strong relationship with your plants, see how they respond to what you're doing, and you can get results like this. In gardening and in many other spheres of activity, in fact, there's a lot of overcomplication. I want to show you simpler ways to do things. I want to help you understand why you're doing what you're doing. And you'll often find that there are indeed quicker, cheaper ways of achieving the desired objective. Why is this complication so common? In an interview with Brian Eno, Grayson Perry, the artist, said there was a fear that if it was made understandable, it wouldn't seem important. In other words, it's not about making things understandable often. Ha-Joon Chang has actually commented on the same thing in economics. He talks about lazy assumptions. We all need to guard against lazy assumptions. I've been delving into them in gardening. In my myths book, there's 99 kind of myths. Some actually have some truth in, and I look at them each in turn, and some are total myths, and I point these things out to help you, for the investment of a mere £10, find freer, easier, more understandable ways of doing things.